Hello everybody, welcome to the Chensor Dynasty. I am your host, James Chen, aka jchensor, here on twitch.tv/jchensor, where I talk about all sorts of fighting game stuff. If you guys actually tuned in last week, we talked a lot about the Street Fighter V netcode mod by Altimor or Altimor. I'm not sure exactly which way it's pronounced. Let's see if the chat, somebody knows exactly how it's supposed to be pronounced. But he had created a mod for the Street Fighter V that works on the PC. You basically take a couple of DLLs and drop it into a folder, start up Street Fighter V, and the netcode is actually that much smoother experience for you. I talked about this last week a little bit. Since then, he has been on Reddit Street Fighters podcast, which I will admit right now I have not had a chance to listen to. Many people have told me it's a great episode where he explains a lot of what's going on over there. And then also, since then, there's been a lot more drama about it. Capcom's reactions since I started talking about it last week. And not only that, but I've had a chance to personally try it out and see how it feels. So, what do we know right now? So again, Altimor created a new patch that fixed the netcode, right? You drop it into into the folder, 2 DLLs, you unzip it into there, and then you start Street Fighter V, and your netcode experience is a lot better now, right? Things we know: if you play the patched version against anyone else who's not patched, including PC and PS4 players, you potentially destroy their experience, because Capcom's netcode is, basically one gets stuck behind the other. One person ends up teleporting more than the other person does as time goes on. And with the netcode, since the netcode patch fixes it on your end and it doesn't fix it on the opponent's end, they can get stuck behind and they can end up having a worse experience. Not everybody has experienced an improved experience. Some people have had situations where there's a lot more slowdown, or it's no difference, or it actually made it a little bit worse than before. This is not a magic bullet, nor is it intended to be. Nor does Altimor even probably pretend that it's going to be a magic bullet. He's just doing what he can to fix it as best that he can, based off of how he understands how the game works. Now, a lot of people have described Altimor as some random person who's come on and fixed everything like that. That is not the case. He is very well versed in doing a lot of mods for fighting games. He was the guy who created a hitbox viewer, I think it was for Guilty Gear and for Dragon Ball, and now he's doing this mod here for Street Fighter V. I mean, look, not anybody can just go and reverse engineer a DLL. There's programs that can help you do that to the best of their ability, but even after that, it takes someone who really knows what they're doing to be able to fix it at this point in time. So that's kind of what we know right now with this patch, right? So here's some extra information. I've had a chance to try it. My results were fantastic. I cannot remember a time that I have played Street Fighter V online where I felt that comfortable, that it felt like I was playing offline, to the point where I was playing against somebody who was beating me up really badly, and I was able to make the adjustments and finally start kind of going even with the opponent, because I actually felt like I could play as seriously and as, precisely as I could. It was amazing. If the netcode was like this since the beginning, it's something that I would probably just have been playing like all the time. It makes the experience so much more enjoyable. Now, there's been a lot of drama with this, right? So there's a lot of problems with this, right? Number one, for me, from my standpoint, I'm an empathetic kind of person. I feel bad for other people that I cause problems for, and so I would never use this patch against people who don't have the patch. So the only time I'll use it is if I play other people in lobbies that I set up for patch players. I would never play against PS4 players and other PC players. Not everybody has this same kind of mindset. A lot of people are going to play the patch and just have their experience be better. screwing other people be damned, right? And so what happens is it's really kind of created a rift in the community. A lot of people are very frustrated now because they don't have the patch. especially on the PS4, and it's ruining their experience. And yeah, you can switch it so that you only fight other PS4 players, because obviously we have no way to get into the architecture of a PS4, so we cannot create a patch for that. And so what's ended up happening is that PS4 players now have to set their experience to only PS4 players to avoid fighting patch players on the PC. This causes other problems, however, because for people who aren't in the know, who are just playing fighting games for fun, their experience is going to degrade considerably if they're not involved in the fighting game community, if they're just playing Street Fighter for fun. If there's a new player who's watching tournaments, is like, this game looks like fun, I really want to play this, and they see it on Twitch and they go and play online. They don't know anything about any patches or anything like that on PS4 or PC. They're going to play, their experience is going to be that much worse, and it's going to be very, very hard. So there's a lot of people out there who are very frustrated with the patch, and they feel like that, you know, it's almost kind of unfair. It is almost like a cheat for them, you know what I mean? It almost feels like the other person's cheating, that there's a mod. I don't want to call it a patch, by the way. It's more of a mod. A patch is more of an official thing. Mod is kind of like users adding modifications to it. So this mod almost feels like a cheater mod, you know, for things to make it so that you have an unfair advantage, because you kind of do in a lot of ways, right? So, but it's a lot of fun. It makes the game a lot smoother, and I really did have a lot of more fun time playing it. Now, currently, the situation, so when I talked about it last time, one of the big things to raise was, how is Capcom going to respond to this, right? And from my standpoint, I think this is a good thing, right? Because it's been 4 years, and Capcom hasn't done anything. And in fact, it almost feels like Capcom's stance was like, we can't fix the netcode. It's not possible. It's, you know, one of these situations where, you know, it's not a feasible thing. But here you go. Someone has come and fixed it, right? So either Capcom just didn't know, 2, didn't try, 3, didn't care, right? And having somebody come out here and prove that it is something that can work, that if 2 people with the patch do play against each other, they can have a dynamically increased better experience, really puts the onus on Capcom and really kind of forces them. And it puts Capcom in a very unfortunate situation, but from the player standpoint, I don't necessarily know if that's a bad thing. I don't know if that's a bad thing, putting Capcom in this bad position, because honestly, fixing the netcode only benefits Capcom, right? If they know this thing exists and they can fix it and it improves the experience for the majority of the players, that's only going to mean more people are going to play Street Fighter V. And when you watch people who are streaming Street Fighter V, they're not going to be grumbling about the netcode, making you not want to play it, right? You're going to actually see people playing it and go like, man, this netcode is great. This is great. Yeah, you should totally play it. And the game is in a great position. There's a CE coming out. CE coming out has all, you know, all the costumes and new V skills and all this stuff like that. There's a nice cheap version to buy it. If they can improve the netcode before CE's official release date in February, I think this is a win for everybody, right? So I really do feel like that this is a good situation. Now, a lot of people out there are like, you know, screw Capcom sucks. It's taken them 4 years, obviously. I hate Capcom, blah, blah. Look, I don't care. I don't care. Like, whatever you feel about Capcom, however you feel about this, it doesn't matter to me, right? Because that's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is having good netcode for people who enjoy the game, who just want to play the damn game, right? And so I think that's kind of cool. Now, on top of all of this, so to summarize this portion of it up, is Capcom now, I feel like, has a lot of pressure. They've responded to it. They've acknowledged that they know. Ono has actually said that he has grasped the situation. That is his exact tweet. I have already grasped the situation. So they are talking about it. People are tweeting about it, and he's like, we are aware. We know what to do. We can't expect Capcom to react right away. Okay, I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, why are you making excuses for Capcom, James? No, I'm not making excuses for Capcom. I just know how companies work. I know how businesses work. I've been involved with it. They're going to get word of this. They can't do anything about it until probably a week of meetings and stuff like that. There's a server maintenance coming up next week, and everyone's like, oh my god, the server maintenance is going to ban the patch and everything. Look, it's not doing anything to this patch, okay? That server maintenance next week had to have been planned a long time ago. They are not going to react to the patch like the next day unless it's like lighting a fire under them and they've got to fix this now. Like it's a, like for example, if they rolled out a rootkit, right? Like if they roll out a rootkit, you can actually expect an instant response. For something like this, the response is not going to be fast. It sucks. That's the way companies work. They're going to have a ton of meetings about it, etc., etc., etc. They're gonna talk, well, how should we handle this? What should we do? Get approval, get budget, do this. It'll take a while, right? I mean, hopefully it won't take long. Hopefully it'll be like a week or something like that. But to expect an official response from them anytime soon, I wouldn't be holding my breath. Which is a problem, because then in the meantime we're splintering the online community, we're causing this problem, and a lot of people are getting mad one way or the other, etc., etc. Now, yeah, I guess you can call the Ono tweet as a glimmer of hope. I mean, the Ono tweet isn't necessarily a glimmer of hope. It's just it acknowledges that they acknowledge it, that they know about it, and that is super important to know that they know, right? That is really, really important to know. You know, it's good for us to know that they know that we know that they... No, never mind. So, it's good to know. Now, the little extra development here... and yes, Mr. Friday is right. The SF community is going to eat itself alive if Capcom doesn't do anything, which is the problem, right? Which is why I'm kind of glad that this thing exists to kind of force Capcom's hand. That's my standpoint. Now, the extra development that came out of the Reddit Street Fighter interview, again, full disclosure, I have not listened to it. Shoutouts to Super Joe Monday and everybody at Reddit Street Fighter for doing amazing content all the time. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I did read what people were tweeting about it and everything like that. There is an update that Altimor kind of understands what's happening so much now that he feels like, and he said is on the way, but again, he's just a guy, a good programmer, obviously a very smart person who is able to do a lot of very good engineering stuff, who just loves street fighting games and wants to help the community improve. But, you know, he's not a company. We can't guarantee anything like that. But he did say that he is currently working on a version of the mod that should also make it so that the opponents, even if they're not patched, will have a better experience. Because, like I said, there's a whole issue right now with Street Fighter V, and in fact, someone put out a video for this Frame Trapped Tom on Twitter, at Frame Trapped Tom, retweeted a video. I don't know if it's his own video. I don't think it is. Someone else put out a video that explains what the mod is doing in a little bit more detail. And basically, you know, one thing will fall behind over the other and stuff. And I guess Altimor says that he's going to have a way that if the opponent's game falls behind by a few frames, he can actually slow the version that has the patch up enough for the other one to catch up and try to sync again. And then as it keeps going up, if there's another packet loss or a lag spike or something, and pow, it kind of de-chunks itself, it'll figure it out and wait and catch up. So you might hit periods where you'll get a little bit of a slowdown or something to let the other person catch up. But, you know, if they can stay in sync for as much as possible and you don't hit these lag spikes, even if the other person gets stuck behind, it'll give them time to catch up. The two of you will be at the same real time, and then you will both have an excellent experience that way. If he can pull something like that off, that is the most awesome thing in the world. That would be amazing. That would basically be amazing. It would be super awesome if he can actually do something like that. My concern right now is that what this really has done, and this is so standard and typical of internet, right? And again, I'm not calling people out because this is just how the internet goes. And like Mr. Friday said, is that it's causing the FGC to kind of like butt heads. And it's weird because I don't see this as a butt headsing kind of situation, right? For me, from my big picture standpoint is someone is forcing Capcom's hand to fix something, right? If Capcom bans the patch or says we're not going to do anything, we're not going to implement this solution that already exists, that tells us everything we need to know. And a lot of players of Street Fighter V have every right to just be like, put down the joystick, push the controller away, and go play Tekken instead, right? And you know, or play KI or Skullgirls or Punch Planet because they have all amazing netcode, right? If Capcom fixes it, yeah, people can be mad at Capcom and be like, why didn't you fix it 4 years ago when it was a problem? But you know what? I don't care. I'm happy that they're going to fix it and make the experience better now, right? So I see that this is kind of, I see this kind of as a win-win situation. So I'm not sure what people are mad about. Yes, the experience is currently bad for other people. Not everybody's going to be like me. They're going to use the patch and who cares that they make other people's experience miserable. Ha ha ha, it's great for me, kind of thing like that. You know, but something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. If Capcom does absolutely nothing, then we don't even have to worry about that problem because can we really continue to support it that way, right? Do we really want to support a game and a company that would not implement this fix in here? Now, again, the key factor here also is that I'm sure Altimor would also say this as well. This is not, again, this is not a silver bullet, right? This is not a BN, what is the word? Be all end all fix for the netcode problem. It will degrade some people's experiences. It may cause some experiences to get worse. It's not perfect, etc., etc. It can do what it can. It's not going to make halfway across the world connections play like magic all of a sudden. That's not what netcode does. That's just, it's impossible because distance is a thing. Distance is a distance thing, right? There's just, unless you can find something even faster than fiber cables or something like that to transfer information at an even faster route, you know, it's not going to be a fix-all for everything, right? And so for Capcom, if they wanted to release something like this, they still couldn't release it quickly because even if they implemented it, they have to do testing. Do you want Capcom to release something like that so irresponsibly without necessarily testing everything that it could cause problems for other people? Probably not. So if they even choose to implement this, and again, this is why it's going to take a long time for them to decide what to do, and then even after they decide what to do, it's going to take a while for them to actually roll it out to people, is because they're gonna have to test it, right? They're gonna have to, and that's the thing. Fringe cases out there exist in everything. If you're a software QA artist, if you're a software QA, which I've been, and if you ever sat down and tried to write test cases, and then you ever see bugs get sent to you that you have to verify that get fixed, a lot of the scenarios that you see from customers about bugs are stuff that you never dreamt of. And a lot of the times when you have bugs, when I'm on my test machine and I test the software and I see this bug, I'm like, whoa, here's a bug. Here's the steps to reproduce. Shove it over to the dev. The dev tries it and the dev can't reproduce it. The bug just won't happen on their machine. And then they have to come to your test machine and they have to check, and you didn't realize that you did this one small thing, or you had this random program installed, or you just happened to do this one thing, or you forgot you changed the setting over here, or in another test you changed the reg key and you forgot to change it back, and etc. like that. Software testing is a pain in the ass. Let me tell you. I just stepped on my headphones. Oh, I hope they're okay. Okay. But software testing is a pain in the ass. So, you know, we can't expect them to roll something out and just be like, yay, here you go, guys. So there's a lot of things that we have to take into account. Now, honestly, if I was Capcom, what would I do? I would contact Altimor. I would be like, here's money. Come out to our offices. Here's our code. do your best and let's see what happens. Because clearly this guy has a good idea of what's happening over here, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, Capcom has the ability to fix it on platforms because they could roll out a patch to PlayStation 4. And that's the other thing too. A lot of people seem to have this weird notion that if Capcom implements the patch, it'll only be on the PC. And so the experience for PS4 users will still be ruined. I don't know why. I don't know if that's what they're actually thinking, or I'm interpreting their tweets wrong, or I'm interpreting what they're thinking wrong. Just because Altimor put out a patch only on PC doesn't mean that Capcom is only going to put the patch out on PC. He can't put the patch on PS4 because he can't get into the files. You can't change anything. If he had the ability to go into the install of Street Fighter V and change it on the PS4, he would do that as well, and you could download it there. But you can't download mod stuff on the PS4. The PS4s are very, very enclosed machines. You need dev kits, you need all sorts of things to be able to get access to it. They're designed that way on purpose. It's basically the difference between, like, for example, an iPhone and an Android, right? Android, you could do all sorts of crazy things to it. You could install programs that can do all sorts of weird things to your phone. At the same time, it can also make it so that the phone just kind of goes crazy if you're not careful, right? Whereas the iPhone, they don't let you do anything. Programs don't have access to half the things on the phone, so they just don't let you do all sorts of crazy things like that. So yeah, there is a lot of misinformation being spread, and it's really, really kind of frustrating to see, because there's just so much wrong information getting out there. So again, I'm hoping that this stream here kind of lays down the facts a little bit, the foundation a little bit more of what is actually happening here. And again, I could be wrong, right? Because I'm not a game programmer. I used to program, so at least I have the experience with software and with companies and stuff like that, so I can say things as accurately as I can. But I could be wrong as well. My last rant, I talked about things, and I had people in the YouTube comment point out mistakes that I've said as well. So another thing that people have said is that they've been using my tweet talking about how great it is, you know, how great the netcode is as a means to evangelicize? What is that the word? Evangelicize the whole netcode thing, and that, you know, obviously it's better, blah blah blah, we should do it. Again, I just want better netcode for everybody. I don't want to ruin other people's experience. If the netcode can only be improved for the people who install the patch and not the other way, I would rather not have the patch, right? That's, you know, or just have it so that somehow Altimor can actually put something in his patch to detect if the other side has a patch. What's up, Siamese guy? And we'll turn it off if they don't, or turn it on if they do. Or if he can fix it so that it works no matter what, even better, right? And Altimor did say, apparently, according to somebody else, that it is evangelize. That's what it is, evangelize. Thank you. You know, that he's even saying that this version that he put out is a rough draft, that he can still improve it and stuff like that. So, again, I don't think that there's one way or the other to improve it. I don't see things that way, right? This is a very a granular situation. There's no black and white here. There's all sorts of areas of gray in this situation. All we have to do is understand what the facts are, and then from there see how things react. Really, there's very little we can do except for wait for Altimor to make a new version of the patch and see if he can improve things, or see what Capcom does. If neither of those two things happen, then we've got an issue. Then we've got to figure out what to do about this ability of people playing patch versus non-patch and ruining the experience. But we don't have to think about that yet. There's no reason to argue that yet. There's no reason to debate the ethics and the crazy, you know, rights and wrongs of that scenario, because that scenario is not guaranteed yet. It's happening right now. But it can probably go away very soon if either of those 1-2 things that I talk about happen, right? And so why are we debating this right now? I just don't think there's any point. We can talk about it and we can say, yeah, it sucks, and yeah, it's good, yeah, it sucks, and yeah, it's good. And guess what? You're both right. I think it's great and I think it sucks. I don't think it's one way or the other. And that's the thing. We just have to keep that in mind. It's great, it sucks. Absolutely both are true. Absolutely both are true. And if we have to live with that scenario, then we can start debating it, then we can start talking about it at that point in time. But until we find out if Altimor can make an even better patch, or until we find out if Capcom is even going to do anything, I don't think there's any reasons for the community to butt heads right now. Because I think overall, this is a good thing, because it proves that it can be improved. I'm not going to say fully fixed, because there will still be bugs in there, but it definitely can be improved for the majority of players, and it forces Capcom to do something, right? We know the fix is possible, and it forces Capcom to do something, and that to me is a good thing and can only be a good thing. So, I have already told people, Jalapeno Bomber, that I have not had a chance to listen to it. I want to listen to it. I have not had a chance, but I will definitely try to find a period of time where I can just sit down and listen to it. I might just like turn it on while I'm in the shower or something like that, just so I can listen to it or something. So we'll try to do some of that once I have a chance, but I have not had a chance to listen to it yet. But I've heard nothing but good things about it. I've seen snippets and stuff like that here and there that are very important for that. But that is my current standing on the situation. I've talked about this a little bit, much longer than I expected to, for about half an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. So for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, let me know what your thoughts are down below. Let me know how you feel about this whole entire situation. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/UltraChenTV. Also, I'm going to do Q&A session where I talk to questions that are on here on Twitch as well. Take a look for that for Chen Reaction Part 2. That will follow up right after this one. So you can look for that as well, for me to go into it in a little bit more depth. For you that are here watching this on twitch.tv, I'm just going to go to the title screen and I will be right back. So don't go anywhere for the Q&A section where you guys can paste your questions to me and I will address them and talk a little bit more about this topic. But otherwise, thanks for tuning into the Chen Reaction. I will talk to you guys soon, and very soon, if it's here on Twitch. Alright guys, be right back.